Russia is not just large, it's colossal, a land of superlatives in every sense, spanning over 17 million square kilometers, making it by far the largest country on Earth. A country so wide it stretches across 11 time zones. Imagine the logistical challenges and the sheer scale of coordinating life across such a vast expanse. This vastness shapes everything: history, people, and power. It dictates the flow of resources, the movement of populations, and the very character of the nation. The Ural Mountains split the country into two: European Russia in the west, the nation's heartland, where most of the population and major cities are concentrated, and the immense, sparsely populated Siberia in the east, a land of seemingly endless forests and frozen tundra. European Russia is fertile and familiar with rolling fields and established agricultural practices, while Siberia is a land of extremes, larger than Australia but with only a fraction of the population. Its vast resources remain largely untapped due to the challenging environment. To put it in perspective, you could fit the entire US and India inside Russia and still have space left over. It's a truly staggering amount of land. The Trans-Siberian Railway, spanning over 9,000 kilometers, ties the country together, acting as a vital artery connecting east and west. But the journey takes a full week, a testament to the sheer scale of the Russian landmass. Russia is a continent-sized nation where distance and diversity challenge unity and infrastructure. Connecting these disparate regions is an ongoing task. From the Black Sea subtropics to the Arctic tundra, Russia contains nearly every climate and terrain imaginable. This incredible variety contributes to the nation's unique character. Towering mountains, endless forests, and vast steppes define the landscape. But the overwhelming feature is vacancy. Much of Russia is simply too harsh or remote for widespread settlement, making it a challenging environment for human habitation. Creating a paradox, a giant nation with a hollow core. The land's emptiness is as defining as its size, shaping its history and influencing its future. Russia's size is impressive, but its climate truly shapes where people can live. Most of the country is dominated by brutal cold. Russia is the coldest nation on Earth. Permafrost covers more than half the land, making construction and farming nearly impossible in many regions. The average annual temperature is a chilling -5.5 Celsius. Only the southern regions have fertile black soil for agriculture, and even there, the growing season is short. In Siberia, winter temperatures can plunge below -40, and in Oymyakon they've reached -71. Surviving here requires constant adaptation, specialized equipment, immense energy for heating, and sheer resilience. As a result, Russia's population clusters in the milder west and southwest, leaving the rest to the elements. The cold is Russia's silent gatekeeper, more powerful than any border or decree. It decides where Russians can build their world. Siberia. The very name conjures images of vast, untouched wilderness. It is in many ways the heart of Russia's emptiness, a land of extremes where nature reigns supreme. This immense territory comprises 77% of the landmass of Russia, stretching across continents and time zones. Yet, despite its size, it holds less than 30% of the country's population. Small settlements are scattered far and wide, separated by seemingly endless expanses. It's a land incredibly rich in natural resources, boasting vast reserves of oil, natural gas, seemingly endless coal deposits, and a timber supply that could fuel industries for generations. And yet, this land, so abundant in resources, is fundamentally hostile to large-scale human life. The winters are brutal, the summers are short, and the challenges are immense. The West Siberian Plain, a vast expanse of low-lying land, transforms into a sprawling swamp during the summer months, making travel and development incredibly difficult. Further east, the landscape shifts dramatically, with rugged plateaus and towering mountains dominating the horizon, creating a formidable barrier to settlement and communication. Major rivers like the mighty Ob and the Lena carve their way through this vast territory. These waterways flow north towards the Arctic, but are frozen solid for a significant portion of the year, hindering their use for transportation and commerce. The harsh climate and challenging terrain offer little in the way of fertile land suitable for agriculture, severely limiting the potential for widespread farming and sustainable communities. Siberia's long-standing reputation as a place of exile is not without merit. Throughout history, it has served as a remote destination for those deemed undesirable. Both the Tsarist regime and the Soviet Union utilized it as a giant, sprawling prison camp, a place to banish political opponents and perceived enemies of the state. The brutal Gulag system, with its network of forced labor camps, left behind a lasting legacy of immense hardship and suffering, discouraging voluntary settlement and fostering a sense of fear. Today, the majority of the population is concentrated in a relatively thin ribbon of cities and towns that hug the Trans-Siberian Railway, the vital artery that connects east and west. These urban centers stand as isolated islands of civilization, surrounded by a vast and seemingly endless sea of wilderness. Many of these cities had their origins as remote outposts established primarily for the purpose of resource extraction and industrial development. They were not initially conceived as permanent homes for settlers, but rather as temporary bases for exploiting the region's rich mineral wealth. Beyond the confines of these urban centers, the land remains almost entirely unpeopled, a testament to the challenges of survival in this harsh environment. The sheer scale of the territory, combined with the extreme climate conditions and the historical legacy of forced settlement, have collectively contributed to making Siberia one of the most sparsely populated regions on the entire planet, a land where vast distances separate people and communities. Its profound emptiness is not merely a geographical characteristic, it is both a significant challenge to overcome and a defining feature that shapes the identity of this unique and remarkable land. Russia's population is heavily concentrated in the western regions of the country, a stark contrast to the vast, sparsely populated areas of Siberia and the Far East. This uneven distribution has shaped Russia's development and continues to influence its economic and social landscape. In fact, 75% of its people live in less than a quarter of its territory. This concentration creates densely populated urban centers in the west, while leaving much of the eastern territory with a significantly lower population density. European Russia is the nation's heart, the historical, cultural, and economic core of the country. It's temperate, fertile, and shaped profoundly by centuries of close contact and exchange with Europe. This influence is evident in its architecture, its culture, and its historical trajectory. The northern European plain and the rich black earth belt, known as Chernozem, support dense settlement and thriving agriculture. These fertile lands have been the breadbasket of Russia for centuries. Rivers like the Volga and Don connect the interior to the Black and Caspian Seas, providing vital transportation routes. This connectivity is crucial, fueling trade, facilitating economic growth, and enabling the movement of goods and people across the vast landscape. Moscow, a megacity of over 12 million residents, stands as the political and economic center of the nation, while St. Petersburg, with its stunning architecture and rich history, remains the cultural capital. Other major cities cluster strategically along the Volga River, further highlighting the enduring importance of these vital waterways for transportation and commerce. Life in these western cities is modern and increasingly connected to the global community, presenting a stark contrast to the relative isolation experienced in much of Siberia. The West's high population concentration naturally attracts significant investment and creates a wealth of opportunity, drawing even more people seeking better prospects from the eastern regions of the country. Many young Russians choose to migrate west in pursuit of higher education and promising career opportunities. Unfortunately, this trend is deepening the existing demographic divide between the European West and the Asian East. While Russia is geographically a predominantly Asian country, with Siberia making up a large portion of its landmass, demographically and politically, the country is overwhelmingly European in its orientation and character. Russia's population map is shaped by history as much as geography. The Russian state began around Kiev and Moscow, squeezed between powerful neighbors and lacking natural defenses. This vulnerability drove a national obsession with strategic depth and expansion. The push east into Siberia started in the 16th century, not for settlement, but for resources and security. Fur trappers and Cossacks raced to the Pacific, founding trading posts, not communities. Tsars and Soviets tried to populate Siberia, but harsh conditions meant only the desperate or the coerced moved east. Stalin's forced relocations built cities like Norilsk, but didn't create a sustainable population. Russia's eastward expansion was about control and extraction, not building new societies. Unlike America's westward settlers, Russia's pioneers were state-directed, not seeking new lives. The result? A densely populated core and a vast empty frontier. Russia's population density is among the lowest in the world, just 8.4 people per square kilometer. But this average hides the reality. Siberia and the Far East often have only 2 or 3 people per square kilometer. By comparison, the US has 36, and China over 150 per square kilometer. Even Canada, known for its empty north, is denser in its southern corridor. Russia is a demographic outlier, a giant with a tiny footprint. This low density makes infrastructure and services expensive and difficult to provide. Many remote communities remain isolated, fueling migration to the west. Since the Soviet collapse, Russia's population has stagnated or declined, with no pressure to settle new lands. The population is simply concentrating further in the comfortable, viable West. Russia's emptiness is deepening, not shrinking. Where people are scarce, nature flourishes. Russia's vast wilderness shelters some of the world's most resilient wildlife. The Siberian taiga, the largest forest on Earth, is home to brown bears, wolves, moose, and the elusive Siberian tiger. These tigers, the world's largest cats, roam the remote forests of the Far East, needing huge territories to survive. In the Arctic tundra, polar bears hunt on sea ice, while reindeer and Arctic wolves migrate across the frozen plains. The emptiness has protected these species, but threats remain: climate change, poaching, and resource extraction. Russia's wildlands are a hidden treasure, but their future is uncertain. The same emptiness that preserves them is now under pressure from the modern world. Nature's last strongholds depend on the land staying empty. Russia's east-west divide shapes its economy and politics. The resource-rich East generates wealth, but the West manages and consumes it. Pipelines and railways stretch thousands of kilometers, moving oil and gas from Siberia to global markets. The Kremlin's focus is on the populous West, where the votes and industries and potential unrest are. The East's concerns often take a backseat, fueling a sense of neglect. The vast territory provides strategic depth, but also anxiety, especially near the Chinese border. Government efforts to settle the East have had little success against climate and economics. Russia's empty land is both its greatest asset and a source of vulnerability. The balance between wealth and population remains a constant challenge. Russia's emptiness is a fundamental fact, shaped by geography and climate. The cold and vastness filter the population into the milder, fertile West, leaving Siberia nearly empty. This creates a nation of contrasts, a dense European core and a vast resource-rich wilderness. Russia's eastward expansion was about state control, not mass settlement, a legacy that endures today. The result is one of the world's lowest population densities, with wilderness dominating the map. This emptiness gives Russia strategic depth and resources, but also immense challenges for unity and infrastructure. The Kremlin must constantly balance its populated heartland with its empty frontier. To understand Russia is to understand its emptiness, a source of both strength and vulnerability. The land itself is the ultimate force shaping Russia's destiny. The cold, the distance, and the scale will continue to define Russia's path.